With the Mortal Kombat and Injustice series, NetherRealm Studios has always been a titan in the gaming industry. But the studio's future has intersected with the strategic shifts of Warner Bros. Discovery. Recent moves by WBD, like canceling films for tax write-offs, along with fan backlash against titles like Mortal Kombat and Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, we once again examine what is really going on with Warner Bros. Decisions in the gaming sphere. Welcome to another bite-sized episode of the Realmcast. I'm your host, the Mortal Kombat fan, Tim.
And I'm Yanni. Today, we're going to be looking at how Warner Bros. Discovery has handled some of its other mediums and see if we can get a better idea on what they may have in store for WB Games and, of course, Mortal Kombat.
Before we get too far into this episode, don't forget, I have G Fuel. I have a lot of G Fuel. I want to give it to you guys. So be sure to stick around to the end of the credits where you will find out how you can win some G Fuel. And if you're one of our previous winners, please do reach out to us because we want to give it to you. Otherwise, we're just going to cycle it back through before it expires because we want to make sure it gets out to the next person or somebody who wants it. But stick around and we'll tell you how to win G Fuel as well as this nice Dancing Dragon box set.
And just so you know, even if you don't reach out, he gives it to the next person. He won't give it to me, even though I've asked. So make sure you reach out.
Oh, I have so many people just asking me for G Fuel, and I'm like, I'm trying to give it to the fans. You guys deserve it. It's for you. It's not for Yanni.
It's not fair.
So before we continue, it's worth understanding a little bit of Midway's history. Back in February 12th of 2009, Midway Games filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Warner Brothers took this opportunity on July 10th of 2009 with a $49 million acquisition. So they rebranded the Mortal Kombat team as WB Games Chicago in July of 2009, and then they established NetherRealm Studios from that in 2010. If you'd like to know more about the details, we have a lot of bite-sized episodes that kind of go into that, but it's worth noting that some of these subsidiaries of WB Games are NetherRealm Studios, like I mentioned, and also Rocksteady Studios.
The Arkham games.
Oh, I see. I didn't even know that. I don't play really anything else besides Mortal Kombat, so...
I mean, if you've played Arkham Knight, Arkham City, Arkham Asylum, you know, those are all by Rocksteady Games.
They're the ones that created Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League.
It does not make sense because it is nowhere near the same quality and polish as the Arkham games. Kill the Justice League, by the way, not killed, kill.
But it's a group of people and that doesn't make sense. Suicide Squad kills because it's a group.
Kill the Justice League is the objective.
Okay, well, you're the English major, not me.
English major? What?
Recently, there has been a lot of negative fan backlash, and we've talked about the Mortal Kombat 1 aspect of that, but do you know a little bit more about what's going on with the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game?
The first mistake they made was games as a service, GAAS, of course, live service game. The coffin for a game before it even releases them. These days, at least, especially by AAA studios, they'll announce a game. It'll sound extremely interesting, get a really cool trailer, and then, oh, hey, it's a live service model. And we all know what that means. Extremely heavy monetization, extremely limited gameplay, no single player mode, etc. And that was the first inklings people had of, hey, this game is not going to be that great. Now, I know that there are a few people who played it very much enjoyed it. Personally, as much as I'm all for, it being a subjective thing, I believe that you have very bad taste if you really enjoyed it. If you want a good looter shooter, play Warframe. You want a good looter shooter, play Borderlands, anything like that. I'm sorry, but no. It was so bad that the game had to be delayed for an entire year, I believe. And I actually believe that that's the reason we got Mortal Kombat early. We usually get an April release date. I think that they had to get some big IP out before the end of the year. And lo and behold, Mortal Kombat was released in, October, I believe. September, October? But that is not normal. So I think that was a decision made purely because of the extremely bad backlash that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League got from even, media, like journalists. I think it was IGN who posted an extremely bad score of it at the time when they were testing. I know that a bunch of content creators were like, this is crap. And so they took all this time and didn't exactly do much now, did it?
No, and it's funny you kind of mentioned the way that the media has handled this game, because there was actually recently an article on mixdown.com. It's called Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, Dips Below 1,000 Players on Steam. And we've talked a little bit about Mortal Kombat doing something similar, but there's this one quote that I gotta mention. He says in the article that because of the GAAS, a monetization plan that depends on player engagement for several months, if not years, in order to maximize profit. It's making the game look more and more bleak as the days wane on and the peak player count falls lower and lower. So, we've talked in our previous bite-sized episodes about the fact that Warner Brothers Discovery is moving towards these games as a service type games. But when you got games like this, that the player count's just dropping, that's not maximizing profits. And that's going to kind of lead the rest of this discussion, actually.
And it's not exactly giving a good long-term impression either. It relates back to our discussion on our previous episode.
Yeah, exactly. Mortal Kombat 1, as we've mentioned, there's a lot of backlash at the moment for it. Things that could be fixed and could make the game very enjoyable in the future. But if Mortal Kombat 1 was released early in order to make up for Suicide Squad's delays, like, that tarnishes Mortal Kombat's brand even worse. And it makes you wonder what Warner Brothers is doing.
That relates back to what I think I also said on our previous episode about it being short-term profit. That's really what it comes down to. It's pretty much just get as much as we can out there now. We need to have a hit this year. We've got Hogwarts Legacy, we've got Mortal Kombat. We need to get those out, and then we need to just move on to the next one instead of properly supporting it. Hogwarts Legacy released and was loved by Harry Potter fans, for which there are many around the globe for good reason, but it was not exactly completely finished. It teased DLC, which it never got, which is now becoming an entirely new game because, hey, we have to make more money. Mortal Kombat as well. Mortal Kombat is a great game. I enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed the gameplay. I enjoyed the story until, last chapter or so. But great gameplay, great roster. Then the monetization comes in, and the invasions come in. Then the Warrior Shrine comes in, Combat League, etc. And you have all these things which are, one, unfinished, and two, monetization heavy focus. And that is what's ruining these games and really not leaving a good impression. This is exactly what is making people stop buying AAA games and move over to indie games, which are infinitely more enjoyable, worth your time, worth your money.
Yeah, the same Mixdown article author of it, Derek Lamore, he goes on to say, regardless of how you personally feel about Rocksteady's latest endeavor in the DC comic universe, you can't deny when a player base doesn't want a game to succeed. They will go out their way to make sure it underperforms, as is evident by Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League's insanely low player count as seen on Steam charts. And it makes you kind of wonder if that's the same thing that is happening to Mortal Kombat. People are upset about $10 fatalities. People are upset about the fact that there's no crossplay yet, and we're 4 or 5 months into the game, and there's all these features that still aren't there. So the fan base is turning away from it, and I don't know if it's because Mortal Kombat fans don't want the game to fail. It's just not happening. It's not hitting home run. That's
the part that I wanted to focus on that quote about if the fans want it to fail, they will make it fail. I think that's a bit disingenuous to actually looking at the reason that fans want it to fail, quote unquote. Because it's not about fans wanting it to fail. It's more about the studio hasn't handled it properly, and as a result, people don't enjoy it, and as a result, it should not see that success. Do you know what I mean? It's brought on by the studio itself, or the studio, the company behind it, etc., or whoever you want to throw the blame on. I know a lot of people are saying it's not NRS's fault, it's Warner Bros.'s fault. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's more so in one's favor, but then more, a little bit in the other. In the end, what it comes down to is the game is unfinished. That's what we care about. I care about, one, the game being a good game, and I suppose more importantly, that the employees are being treated properly and that they are able to make the game that they want to with good working conditions and such. But in this case, we have received a game what seems to be ahead of time. Obviously, there must have been some crunch period there and everything to get this thing out in what I believe to be early. And it's not finished. We still have literally zero communication as to what the Warrior Shrine is. We have a bunch of skins in the story mode, which are still not available. We have invasions mode, full of bugs. We have the gameplay extremely unbalanced, which I suppose is, to be fair, like the norm with most fighting games. Really, you'll always have that one or two characters who are like definitely the meta and then are very unbalanced for quite a while. But the game is quite buggy. We're constantly finding new things that it should have. The game is not finished, and that's such a shame. I mean, even go back to the story mode. It's obviously an oversight, but it should not have passed QA. Where Sindel had a quote, which the subtitles were like basically some code. You know what I mean? It's how do you miss that?
I think this is a good point to talk about how Warner Brothers Discovery has been managing things since the merger. We talked about this on our last Bite Size episode, how Warner Brothers Discovery has been going through and canceling various movies. And, you know, my favorite quote from David Zaslav talking about himself is that he says, it took real courage for Warner Brothers Discovery to cancel completed movies like Batgirl and Coyote versus Acme. I mean, that's the CEO of Warner Brothers.
Courage.
Saying, yeah, and this is
for a
quoted.
tax write-off. Hey, we're going to make money by canceling this.
Exactly. Those aren't the only movies that he's canceled either. There's also Scoob, Holiday Haunt, the Coyote versus Acme, Batgirl. And then we talked about other things like Westworld, Raised by Wolves. Like, they've been just canceling stuff all over the place. And in the case of Coyote versus Acme and Batgirl, these were completed things that they didn't want to release. And instead, they've just written them off in their taxes as a loss. Would they have made more money releasing this than they would have with their tax write-offs? That's the big question.
DC IP right now, in terms of the cinematic universe, has not been performing the way they would have expected it to be. And that's as a result of really bad planning, bad cohesion within the teams behind everything, and also just sort of ignorance of what the fans want. You know, you can say, oh, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this, but really you're just doing a checklist and you're not thinking, hey, what do the fans actually want? And that's, I mean, I'm going to bring an example here. Mortal Kombat Legends. We've had Jeremy Adams on here multiple times. Great guy. Very passionate about what he does. Very passionate, to the point where when we're talking, you know, we're able to throw out random lore tidbits from mythologies, and he's aware of them. When he's writing Legends, he's getting in those little tidbits as well. He's making sure that there's great little hooks, there's things which old school fans will love, and things to draw in new fans as well. That's that passion that I want to see, and you don't see that when it comes to even just DC, for example, with the cinematic universe. Right now, as of now, I've still not seen the latest Aquaman. I don't intend to for the foreseeable future. I like Aquaman a lot. You know, that says it all, really.
Is it Aquaman that you like, or is it Amber Heard?
I mean, I've always liked Aquaman. I'm not exactly much of a fan of Amber Heard. I do like Mera. But
so I guess it's probably a good idea to explain what happens when he does these tax write-offs. So basically, if he completely cancels a film project, he can write off all the expenses associated to that project as a loss on his taxes. And that helps alleviate some of the tax debt. Because if they were to actually release these movies, then they're going to have to pay things like advertisement fees. They're going to have to pay to get it out in theaters. And the losses from these movies, as we've kind of been seeing a lot from some of the comic book movies, could be so great that it's just cheaper to throw it away and get the tax write-off, because they don't want to put any more money into these products. So there's actually a U.S. congressman that wants to investigate Warner Brothers Discovery because they've been doing this whole movie shelving in order to reduce their taxes. Texas Democratic congressman. And he went on a tweeting spree lately, and he said that the tactic that Warner Brothers has of making these films for tax breaks is basically predatory and anti-competitive. And he also says in his tweet, as the Justice Department and FTC revise their antitrust guidelines, they should review this type of conduct. And that's a good point.
Yeah, this was actually addressed by Brian Welk of IndieWire, saying Zaslav first addressed the notion of taking tax write-downs, calling it a misnomer that they get a benefit or money back from permanently shelving a film. And in the article, there's a quote from David Zaslav which says, "We've spent the $100 million, and if we don't release it, it's gone. We don't have any real benefit from it."
Yeah, exactly. It's been clear that he is doing it for these tax benefits, but just because you're getting a tax benefit for a failed project, I don't know. It's kind of like this weird gray area, and we're not really sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing because we're never going to see these movies. But all of this comes into what? What are you laughing at?
Yeah, we're never going to see these movies. On one hand, it's like, do you even want to? But on the other hand, and I think it's not our place to say whether or not this is their intention. But I do believe that it is a fair thing to be investigated for. It might be a false accusation, of course, but how it looks on the surface and the fact that a congressman is looking into it in this manner kind of is quite important.
This demonstrates how WBD has been handling their projects. This whole concept of, well, if it doesn't do well enough, then we're just going to stop making it. How does that tie into the video game industry and with what is happening with games like Justice League Kill the Suicide Squad and Mortal Kombat 1?
Justice League Kill the Suicide Squad. You better keep that in this episode.
Same, but different. It's I mean, I haven't played the game. I'm not going to. I like the Arkham games, but I didn't even realize this was the same company.
Yeah, I mean that is actually concerning though, and that's something that has been addressed. It's sort of relating back to the earlier topic, but it's not of the same quality. People were releasing even just graphical comparisons of how Harley Quinn looked in the previous series, which is apparently in the same universe as this one. Which many fans are refusing to acknowledge.
Well, and also, the Arkham games came out many years before now. You would think that the technology, the studio would have it down by now to make Harley Quinn as best as possible. I've seen some of the screenshots, and they don't have the right shading, and the lighting's horrible.
It could be a stylistic choice, but you literally have all the assets. And if it's the same universe, you might as well have continued in the same art style, right? With the same assets.
Yeah. Would it make sense for David Zaslav to deliberately tank the current gaming industry in order to kind of sell off these studios and possibly turn around and release their IPs to the public so that they can make better games at a lower cost?
Everything is focused on spending as little money to make as much money as possible in the short term, right? And I could see that being an argument. I really could. If you tank the IP, yes, it becomes cheaper, so it becomes technically more attractive to somebody who's looking to purchase it. But on the other hand, by doing so, you also make it more unattractive to somebody who is interested because it's associated with a bad reputation at this point. And that's a bit weird to me because I feel like it's unfair to the IP, especially if it's not in the control of, let's just say, the creators. Let's even talk Mortal Kombat here, NRS. If you tank the Mortal Kombat IP so that you can sell it off for cheap, you're harming the reputation of Mortal Kombat and with it, NetherRealm Studios, just, assuming that this is Warner Bros. Doing. And then Mortal Kombat has that bad reputation, but Warner Bros. Doesn't, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to buy this from you and they're going to make some money off of selling the IP. And then Mortal Kombat now has a bad reputation with another studio, or rather with another owner. So who is really getting the short end here? And is that a symptom of just the industry itself? Is there a way to get around this? Is there a way to say, hey, yes, Mortal Kombat's IP has been tanked, in this assumption, in this scenario, Warner Bros. Should also have lost their reputation along with Mortal Kombat, which they have chosen to tank. Or let's go to the example of Suicide Squad instead. If Suicide Squad and now, for example, Rocksteady's reputation are harmed that badly, and DC's, in my opinion, really has tanked very, very heavily since the entire cinematic universe has come about, sadly. Why aren't Warner Bros. Also reaping what they sow?
So that's the thing, is they don't actually have to sell off the IPs. They could keep the IPs and lend them out to other studios in order to make money and instead shut down their gaming divisions or gaming studios. But honestly, I don't think that would be the course of action that they take, because they've stated in their recent Q3 earnings report that they're going all in on their gaming stuff, doing all these microtransaction type things to it, making it more valuable for their future earnings and stuff like that. At least that's what their plan is. But one thing that they bragged about is that every game that Warner Brothers is making right now is all in-house. So NetherRealm Studios, for example, that's a subsidiary of WBIE, WB Games, and that means that NetherRealm Studios is a Warner Brothers studio, no matter how you look at it. Same with Rocksteady. These are Warner Brothers studios. So if they damage their IP, they damage their studios, and it's just kind of shooting themselves in the foot to then turn around and start loaning these IPs out, because they, like you said, they've already damaged it. They're not going to be as successful in the long run. A better strategy is to make the best games possible and release it and keep fans engaged.
That costs money to do.
Yeah,
rather
exactly.
than costing less to make more.
Yeah.
Short term.
Yeah.
That's what I've been saying for the past how many episodes we've been doing. It's all short-term profit. There is no long-term reputation that they care about. It's all short-term project. It's the people involved, the people who stand to gain from this realize, in my opinion, that their time in charge is limited. So for that moment in time, make as much money as possible. It's all short-term profit.
You say that, but as we talked about in our last Bite Size episode, David Zaslav himself has been cashing in some of his own personal stock in order to take care of the taxes that are due to Warner Brothers. What are you thinking about that? Like, this isn't company stocks, this is his stocks. And so you would think if he wanted to make it more profitable, he would liquidate assets rather than keeping the money for himself.
I mean, think of it this way. If you had stocks in something, would you be doing what he's doing if you did not stand to gain from it?
Oh, so you think he's doing
honestly
a stock dump? Is that what you think?
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying there is no way that somebody is going to just throw away money. There is obviously some benefit to him here, right? And unless you are the stupidest person alive, or I'm sorry, but no, there is obviously a benefit here. That's literally burning money if it's going to have a negative effect. There must be some benefit here.
That's a good point. It's a possibility that he is selling off his own stocks because he knows that the stock isn't going to do that good in the future. So why not use it now?
Or he stands to gain somehow else.
Yeah. That's a good point. I don't know, but I still don't think they're going to switch away from their in-house development. NetherRealm Studios, for example, it's been tied to Mortal Kombat since the 90s. We've seen it evolve, as we mentioned earlier, from Midway to WB Games Chicago to NetherRealm. We've seen it change, but I don't think that it's ever going to not be associated to Mortal Kombat. There's a chance they might loan out their IP to other companies to develop it, kind of like they did with some of their various ports. They didn't have NetherRealm port everything over to PC or Mortal Kombat X or 11. So they could keep using other companies to kind of be backup, but I think they're pretty set in having these studios. I mean, they just opened up WB San Francisco, and John Tobias is working out there. So the studios are there for a reason, and they still seem to be building up these studios as much as possible. So yeah, I don't think they're going to be terminating these as they've been doing with their various movies.
No, I think there's 2 points on this, actually. One, you have the fact that it being in-house being part of their strategy, as we addressed already in our previous video on that report that you've mentioned, right? That is part of their strategy. And that is a strategy because it enables them to keep costs low. Now, obviously, if they can find a company to come in that they can loan I say loan, that they can hand over the IP to make some games on it. Let's just say Mortal Kombat. We get another company who is experienced with making RPGs, comes in to make Shaolin Monks Remastered or something along those lines. That would make sense, right? And they could potentially have somebody who they would be paying less to than their own in-house studio. But if it's their own in-house studio, they stand to benefit more. And that is clearly their strategy. Now, the other thing here is, yes, it's possible that they could choose to sell Mortal Kombat's IP to somebody, or even, I don't know what the agreement is like, but maybe even get rid of NetherRealm Studios and have somebody else handle it instead. I doubt that, but just, for the sake of theory. Could you really see Mortal Kombat without Ed Boon at this point in time?
At this point in time, no, but I would kind of be curious to see what it would be like. No offense, Ed. But we haven't agreed with every decision that has been made since Ed Boon became the lead creative director of Mortal Kombat.
Sure. But is that his fault, or is that WB?
I don't know.
Or both.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows what Mortal Kombat could look like in other hands. We briefly touched on that in the past as we talked about some of the rumors were going out that NetherRealm or Warner Brothers was looking at getting rid of some of their gaming divisions. We kind of explored that a little bit more in some of our past bite-sized episodes. And is it really in better hands if somebody like EA or Microsoft picks up Mortal Kombat?
No. I mean, Microsoft you could make an argument for it with Microsoft. You could make an argument. Some good examples, some bad examples. EA, please no, stay far, 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 far away.
Yeah,
but my question about Ed Boon, could you really see Mortal Kombat without Ed Boon, is more about the fact that he is still the face of Mortal Kombat in terms of, in real life people, rather than Scorpion and Sub-Zero as the faces, right? So, I don't know. For the moment, I think that Warner Bros. Getting rid of Ed or NetherRealm Studios would be shooting themselves in the foot. If they've been shooting themselves in the foot with a pistol right now, it would be a bazooka, That I don't think that's the right decision. I could be completely wrong. I don't see much in the way of long-term strategy from the company. I really don't. They're paid to do it. They're there. I'm not. I don't think I want to be personally. But the point here is that I still do think the people in charge are focusing on short-term profit. I don't see them getting rid of their cheapest option to continue making games. I think it'll continue to be in-house. I don't see Mortal Kombat getting sold off. You never know. But yeah, that's my take on it.
That comment too about how it is short-term profit. If you look at the media hype over the recent Mortal Kombat 11, Mortal Kombat 1, it's always been about how well and how profitable it's been on time of release.
Yes.
That's a big point. Read the undertones there. That is short-term profitability, and continued support might not be the strategy for what Warner Brothers Discovery is doing with the game.
I truly hope you're wrong there. I really do, because I know that Mortal Kombat has a very bad rep right now, and I think it's very unfair, not of the fans, but of the company and how it's handled it. Mortal Kombat 1 has so much potential. I still remember and stand by my positive comments on the game from when it released. The game's gameplay, the game's roster, the game's story, it really has so much going for it, and it just needs to be fleshed out further. That's it, and that communication is necessary. Ed Boon mentioned, keep that communication coming. We want to make this the best game. What if, it's just them sort of lowering expectations? Everybody's so negative about the game right now. It's all negative, and then suddenly it's just going to get this huge update, which will change the game entirely. And suddenly everybody is saying, oh, it's so much better than it was before. And look at MK11. MK11 released. I'm sorry, but it was crap in comparison to what we have now. And now MK11 is looked at and everybody's like, hey, look, this is a good standard for certain things of the game. So there is a good chance that Mortal Kombat will get fixed, but that needs to happen so that long-term image of Mortal Kombat is not affected in the way that it currently is now. It's currently the laughingstock of the fighting games that we do have in the community, and that is truly a shame, considering it could arguably become the best Mortal Kombat game, at least of this era. And in terms of that short-term profit, yes, Mortal Kombat 1 is apparently one of the highest selling games in the world, although based on our observations on that chart that we looked at, I would say that's in the US, not worldwide, although it could be worldwide as well. But it's all short-term. Mortal Kombat 1 sold that many, but then you look at Elden Ring, and Elden Ring is on the top-selling games as well, and that was released the year prior. See, if you make a good quality, extremely polished game, taking your time, doing it properly, you will have those long-term sales. It doesn't just have to be about short-term profit, short-term sales. you can actually take your time, put out a good product, and if you've done it properly, people will keep coming back. People will keep buying it. It will be one of those gems, and that's what you want in a product. That's what you want in your IP. If you want to have a good reputation, you need to attach positive reputation to it.
That's a great point. And as we've talked about during this episode and our past bite-size episode, Mortal Kombat is all currently in-house, which means that the developers that you speak to and reach out to on Twitter, those are the developers that are employed by Warner Brothers that are making this game. So your opinion really does matter. Everything that you're saying, everything that you're asking for, there is somebody out there listening, and it is important to keep your opinion going out there because we still have a Mortal Kombat community, and it also matters to us. So leave a comment and let us know your thoughts. Do you think that WBD is in a position where they would risk losing their studios or their IPs? Or do you think that the way that they're handling the movie business is completely separate than what they're doing with their gaming divisions? Let us know in the comments. Do you think it's just money, or do you think that there's something else going on here?
Yeah, please do let us know in the comments. I've been noticing on our past few episodes that there's a bunch of comments. You're all discussing and, well, of course, arguing as well. And I mean, we love to see those discussions. You know, you actually do help fuel the topics that we choose for future episodes. So please do keep that up. We really do enjoy it, even if we don't reply to every single one of you. And of course, if you have enjoyed our bite-sized episodes, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. We do have other content, of course, as well, guest interviews, live soul streams and such, which we do hope to get a few more out very, very soon for you. So make sure to subscribe to keep up to date with any notifications of any of our uploads. And until next time, remember, every warrior does have a story and every saga a lesson.
Thanks for sticking around. As I mentioned, we have a lot of G Fuel. We want to give this to you guys. This is just to show our appreciation to all of our fans for subscribing to the Realmcast. So if you're interested in winning any G Fuel between now and our next Soul Stream, leave a comment in any of our videos and we'll take all of the comments, anybody who entered the giveaway, and we will be doing a drawing. You don't have to say, I want G Fuel or anything like that. All you got to do is leave a comment. Tell us what you think about the episode. It's that simple. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we do have this collector's edition Dancing Dragon pack from G Fuel. I'm going to open it up just so you guys can see. It comes with this Mortal Kombat 1 Liu Kang shaker bottle, which is actually made out of aluminum. It keeps your drink cold. You can take this to the gym. It has a built-in little shaker thing, so it'll shake your powders together. You can even like sit at your desk like I do, mix up your drink and sip on it while you're watching the show. And it also comes with the Dancing Dragon Liu Kang G Fuel. This particular flavor is dragon fruit mango. Really good, especially if you like more of the fruity G Fuel flavors. So we have that in the collector's box. All you got to do to enter to win this is be a subscriber. Just subscribe to the Realmcast. We're going to be going through our subscribers and giving away this G Fuel during our Soul Stream, which if you're not familiar with that, that is our live show where we go through with our guests and interact with you guys. So just subscribe and we will announce the winner. And then just reach out to us after you've won and we'll give it to you. If you have won any of our giveaways in the past, please do reach out to us because we're just going to keep giving this up away until it's gone. And if you don't claim it, we'll probably just pass it on to the next person. So if you want some G Fuel, you want some Dancing Dragon collector's box set, let us know because we want to give this to you guys. We appreciate every single one of our fans for subscribing, for interacting with us. We like to hear what you guys think. So leave a comment on the video itself. Tell us what you think about it. And win some G Fuel. I mentioned it before, we got 4 different flavors that we're going to be giving away. We have the Dancing Dragon, we have the Sub-Zero Ice Shatter, we got the Scorpion Sting Spicy Mango, and we got the Raiden Electric Strike. These are all the Mortal Kombat Classic 30 edition canisters, except for the Liu Kang, which is the Mortal Kombat 1 brand new flavor, Dancing Dragon. If you guys haven't tried G Fuel, this is a great opportunity to do it. It's all sugar-free, and it's been known to give gamers a little bit of an edge with increased energy, focus, endurance, and reaction speed. So it's yours. All you got to do is leave a comment and claim it. For every comment received on our YouTube channel and for every subscriber that we have, we're going to be going through and giving you a chance to win. We'll announce all the winners on our next Soul Stream. And like I've said, we want to give this to you guys because we want to say thank you for tuning into everything that we do here with Mortal Kombat Online. So leave a comment and subscribe, and you get a chance to win some of this cool stuff that we have. So come get some G Fuel. We'll send it your way. And again, thank you guys so much for subscribing to the Realmcast. We do the show for you because we love Mortal Kombat and we want to share that with all of you.